What's up, guys? Welcome to G Whiskey. My name is Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around to the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe down below. And with that out of the way, let's jump into our review. Today we're looking at the Kavalan Solist Vinho. Stick around. Alright, so we're looking at a Kavalan Solist today. This is going to be the third of 4 reviews that I'm doing of this series. I'm doing the 4 most affordable offerings from the range. Today we're looking at the Vinho, and this one I think will probably be of more interest than some of the others to you. This is a really popular release. It's probably the most famous from the range. And that's probably because of all the fuss that was made about this bottle a while back. And by a while back, I mean like the better part of a decade ago. This one got really famous around like 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. Might have been Jim Murray, something on our box about World Whiskey Awards. Somebody called this the best whiskey in the world, and there was a lot of hype around this release. Anyway, this is part 3 of a 4-part series where I'm looking at the Kavalan Solist range. So far, I've done the bourbon, I've done the sherry. Obviously, today we're looking at the Vinho, and I'll probably cap things off with the port on my next review, so make sure you catch that one. Listen, so far I've been really impressed with this line. They're fantastic whiskeys, and I have no reason to believe that this one won't also be a superstar. Now, you may have caught in my review of the sherry release, I said that traditionally that one's been my favorite from the line. And then I think I also said something similar about the bourbon release. And really, I kind of want to say the same thing again about the Vinho here. So I'm all over the place with these whiskeys, but there is a reason for that. These are single cask releases, and single cask whiskeys are notoriously inconsistent. So really, the whiskeys themselves are kind of all over the place. That being said, in my experience, some of these lines are a little bit more consistent than others. I don't think I've ever had a bad release of the sherried line. For the bourbon line, the one I've got open right now is probably one of the weaker offerings I've had from it, and I still scored it a 90, so that's very telling. But for our Vinho here, I would say this is probably one of the more volatile lines. I don't want to say volatile, not volatile. Anyway, just less consistent. Now, I've come back to this expression several times over the years, and for the most part, it's absolutely delicious. When you get a really good batch of Vinho, honestly, that's some of the best Kavalan you're ever likely to try. But I have had one bottle in particular that, yeah, it was a bit of a disappointment. It wasn't a bad whiskey by any means, but it wasn't nearly as good as it should have been. But let's keep in mind that there's like a million different releases of the Kavalan Vinho, and again, the nature of single cask, you're not going to have total consistency, and I'm not going to say that this line is any less consistent than the other lines on the whole. But I am going to say that my personal experience with the batches I've had have been a little bit less consistent than what we get with, let's say, the sherry. But let me reiterate, almost every bottle I've had of this has been excellent. I'm really just complaining about one bottle here, and I have no reason to believe that this will be a lesser offering. I'm sure it's fantastic. What else? I don't think I mentioned the age, so this one was distilled in 2014 and it was bottled in 2020, so we're looking at a 6-year-old. And I think that's about it, so let's just jump into our review, see what our whiskey is all about, and in the meantime, if you could kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. So we've always got good specs with these. Our ABV comes in at 57.1%. It's going to be non-chill filtered, and it's going to be natural color. So we have a beautiful dark color to our whiskey. I always like these Kavalan Solist bottles. I said it about the previous ones. Everything applies here too. I like the designs, I like the colors, I love the fonts. Maybe I don't love the blue color scheme quite as much as some of the others, but it's still a beautiful look, so I'm going to give presentation 4 out of 5. As usual, we have all the information we need. We have non-chill filtered, natural color, we have distillation date, bottling date, cask number, all the fun stuff, so another great bottle. So I did add some water here. Let's try our nose. We've got some wine in here for sure. So it's these really sweet red wine tannins. Like, it's not one of those heavy, dark, brooding, winey notes. It's very light. It's very, again, quite sweet. We have a beautiful sticky toffee in here. Caramel. We have raisins. We have blueberry jam. We have a very floral honey note. We have barley, we have brown sugar, we have juicy oranges, and some sweet herbal notes. This is complex and intense. Let's try our palate. Alright. Full mouth coating. We have some beautiful caramel and spices up front. Pepper. There's some cream in here. vanilla sundae, banana split, sweet red wine, cinnamon, baking spices, jammy notes, maybe like blueberry jam, strawberry jam. Really interesting, really dynamic. And now our finish. Again, caramel, honey, like a floral kind of honey, like vanilla floral honey tea. Okay. There's some heavy cream. There's more jammy notes, more of that blueberry jam. We have some tropical fruits like bananas and pears. We have some wine tannins in here. There's wood varnish and some light tobacco. Finish is pretty long, quite intense. Alright, so we've got another interesting whiskey from Kavalan. This one does bring something different to the line. It brings something different to the table. It's not like the bourbon or the sherry. The bourbon was, of course, much more woody. We had tropical notes in there. We had vanilla notes in there. Our sherry was much more dry. It was far less sweet, and it was much more cask dominated. And I'd say that this one is a nice middle ground. It is very cask forward. It's definitely the cask speaking first and the loudest. But we also have the distillate behind that. We have the house style. We have the signature tropical fruits shining through. Admittedly, the distillate is a bit of a background player. This is still a cask-driven whiskey first and foremost, but I like that the distillate is there. It's got a presence, and it's nicely woven in with the cask influence. And speaking of the cask influence, I like the wine cask in this. For me, wine casks are very much a hit or miss thing. Some whiskeys that are matured in wine casks are total misses for me. This one makes it work. I think it's imparted some nice flavors. It's not too dry, it's not too tannic, and it's pretty unique. We have some really cool fruity notes in here. I mentioned blueberries. There's a lot of like blueberry jam in here, which is really nice. Again, well integrated with the distillate underneath. So really, this is a well-composed whiskey. So this is another big win for Kavalan. I'm going to give it a great score. I like this a lot. It's a 91 for me. Honestly, Kavalan should start putting me on the payroll for the amount of praise I'm giving them. Loads of character, loads of complexity with this. I get why it's so popular. Now, I'm not done with this series yet. I haven't gotten around to the port review yet, but so far, I like how all of these whiskeys fit nicely into the line. So if you want a sophisticated, refined sherry bomb, of course, you're going to go for the sherry. If you want the house style with big oak, big vanilla, and tropical fruits, go with the bourbon. And if you want a sweet, wine-forward cask influence that doesn't overwhelm the distillate, go with this. Again, make sure you catch my next review where I'm looking at the port. We'll see how that one fits into all this, but so far, this has been a hell of a line. These are all great whiskeys, and even this one, you know, traditionally I'm not the biggest fan of wine influence in whiskey. This one definitely makes it work, so another one that comes highly recommended. Alright, value is a little bit tricky. These are expensive whiskeys. I do recognize that, especially in the West. So I'll say the same thing about this one as I said for the bourbon and the sherry, which is to say, I do think these warrant a certain price tag. It's up to you to decide what's reasonable. Hopefully you're not being overcharged. Hopefully you can find these for, let's say, 200 US, 150 pounds or less. But yes, they are luxury products that taste the part. So pull the trigger if you're interested. Alright, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to help support the channel, please consider becoming a patron. Otherwise, you can like, comment, and subscribe. That's always appreciated. And I do want to hear from you. Have you tried our Kavalan Solist Vinho? Have you tried any of the others? How do you feel about the value on those bottles? Were they worth it? Finally, down in the comments below, let me know what you want to see me review next, and I'll keep it in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.